Greetings, 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 Latvia. How are you all doing? This is Tyra Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And this recording is all about the sacred calabash Ileke initiation. Doors are opening if you are ready to step onto the Orisha path, then this is for you. If you're not quite sure, then just come along with me on this journey and learn a little bit more about this beautiful tradition born out of the African tradition. And yeah, let's do this. All righty. So, yes, yes, yes. How are you all? So happy to be here to share just a little bit about my experience. How did I become a part of this tradition? And yeah, just want to give you a little bit about my story. I recorded another one, and it's all about giving a little bit about what the sacred calabash is, the Aleke initiation, and some of my initial thoughts about the tradition. How do you get started in the tradition, among other things that I think are important for you to know? And also wanting to make sure that you can figure out, is this for you? Am I the person that your soul, your Ori in the Ifa tradition, the higher self? It is a truly a divine gift to have an Ori. Everyone has an Ori. And so it's like, is your Ori leading you to initiate with me? So I just want to take a moment to honor all of our ancestors, to honor the Orisha. We want to just give thanks for the Orisha. I say Eshu, Eshu, Alegua, to Obatala, Shango, Oshun, and Yemonja. Just giving thanks for this tradition, everyone who helped to make sure that the Orisha who appointed them helped them to hold on to the tradition, pass it on to those of us who are a part of the group that has forgotten, but we are awakening and remembering. And so we just give thanks from the bottom of our hearts for this opportunity to even have the memory, to have the ability to get back to our ancestral roots. Doesn't matter if your ancestors are from Nigeria or not. This is a tradition truly that can connect you to your ancestors, and especially for African or people of African descent. Um, it is truly a path back to healing and restoration. For those of you who are not, I just believe that just like any other religion that's out there, this religion can help to bring balance and wholeness and connection and healing to your ancestral lineage, to your soul, just like any other religion. And so Ifa, I see as a religion for the world. I really do. I think everybody should be a part of it in some kind of way. It's just that good. So I don't want to make these too long. I can talk and talk and talk. So let me just tell you a little bit about my path into Ifa. I believe that it started when I was a little girl. I remember being about 6 or 7 years old, and I just heard this voice that was like, "Hey, tell your mom that she's supposed to know what you're supposed to do." And I walked up to my mom and I was like, what's my destiny? What am I supposed to do?" And she was like, I don't know." My mother was very honest, but I could tell she was dumbfounded by that. I was like, "I was told that you're supposed to know what I'm supposed to do. What am I supposed to do?" "I don't know." And I just really had a different concept of God and spirituality, didn't understand it. It was just my truth. The next little phase is, um, when I was a teen, I just didn't believe in hell. I would tell people, "I don't care what they say in church. I just don't believe that there's a hell. I don't believe that this almighty God who knows all the trappings that are gonna happen to us would set us up like that and send us to hell. I refuse. So I remember that. And I never really wanted to commit. Like my mom insisted that I go through confirmation in the Catholic Church. And I had told her I really didn't want to because I didn't know if that was for me. And she was like, well, guess what? You're going to do it. So I did the confirmation, but I just had questions. And when I got into my 20s, I remember wondering to myself, especially the more I learned about Black history, what was the religion of my ancestors before they were enslaved? And the other question that I had was like, can I really be a part of a religion in which my ancestors that like in the name of Christianity, my ancestors were enslaved or they were enslaved by people who profess Christianity? I'm like, this is feeling conflictual. But when you are born during my time, it was just not a lot of people who that were around me that agreed. Most people just said, "What difference does it make? We're Christian now." And that just never flew for me. So, mm, deeper into my mid-20s, I found Ian Van Zant and Tapping the Power Within, and that was the first time I really began to kind of understand something about ancestral traditions. Oh, right before her, actually, I found Queen Afua, who introduced me to Kemetic deities, I guess you could call it. And it was just something about the Kemetic spirituality. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then I found Iyanla, and I mentioned in the other book, we were all grad students together. So one couple is how I found Iyanla. Then there was another couple, and that's how I found the Orisha book. And I really just started kind of being like, wow. And I had so many questions, and there was something that just drew me to it. I think that that is something that a lot of people will feel. It's a little bit of a clue. If you feel drawn to initiate into Ifa, then more than likely it is a call. It is truly a call for you. Sometimes that's enough. And we just have to not let people fearmonger us into thinking this is, we think all things Afro is evil, right? A lot of us, we love being Black, but we know how it can be. It's a lot of whatever about Black people that's just wrong, taboo. And sometimes those are the very things we need to run into because we have been so disempowered. I think the world has been disempowered. When I think about astrology, even other ancient indigenous traditions, why do they discourage people from using them? You know why? Because they work. And when we don't have access to our ancestral traditions, you know what? We are weaker. We are weaker. So sometimes just a call into Ifa is enough. And I know sometimes it can kind of look a little bit like, well, she's doing it or he's doing it. And so, it's like, I don't want to be left out. And we do want to avoid that. But just, I always tell people just start learning about it and applying some of the teachings and apply some of the teachings. And I think you'll know if it's really for you or not. Okay. So, yeah. So then what ended up happening is I lost my mother. And it was me having to lean on Iyanla that helped me to feel connected to my mother because I was distraught. And so that was when I first started stepping into the tradition, even though I don't remember Iyanla really talking much about this being the Yoruba tradition, but we all know that she is an initiated priestess. So, yeah, I lost my mother and I went into a little bit of oh, I lost my mother and I found the village. I wrote some notes and I was like, "What is this word?" I have to write neater. I found the Village Cultural Arts Center, and it used to be this place where people would go drumming and dancing. So my mom died in '97. I found the village in '98, and There at the village were people who were practicing and or initiated into the Ifa-Orisha tradition. Blew my mind. It was there that I got my first reading, and one of my favorite stories about that is I talked to the priestess. She's not even a year older than me, but she's about a year older than me, and, I call her Ola Omi. I talked to Ola Omi. I was like, um, I I miss my mom, and my aunt said that I think I'm feeling this connection from my mom because I used to feel like my mom's presence was around me. It was a certain smell of flowers, and I would think, "Oh, I think that's my mom," and the flowers were gone. This was months. This was '98, so my mom had been gone for over a year at this point, and I would smell these flowers, and Iya Olaomi stopped, and she looked at me, and she said, "Your mom is absolutely connecting with you. The ancestors." And she was kind of like, "And the fact that you're crying for your mother, this is beautiful. This is a good thing because the ancestors need us to cry for them because it lets them know that they did good work. They are remembered." So, it was like so affirming. And in that moment, I felt peace come all through me, even though I was still just so distraught. That brought me so much peace, and I'm not disrespectful to religious practices and people who are part of religions. I was raised up Christian, and the Christians were failing me. What was it that they would say? It was something like, "Just pray. Just pray. Just pray?" I my mama just died. That's not working. Or even though it might be true, she's in a better place. That didn't feel good. I'm not. So no disrespect, but that's just where I was. But anywho, I I just began to realize there are real people actually practicing this spiritual tradition. And so, I started dancing there, and I never really became part of the community, but that was where I was initially told, like, your Orisha are Oshun and Obatala, and it made sense. It made complete sense, and I had that Orisha book, and I just started kind of feeling like, okay, I'm a little bit deeper in. It wasn't official, didn't have my Lekes. And then my husband and I both got called. We had these spiritual callings right around the same time. He was being called to be a preacher, and I was just telling him I'm not being called to be a part of Christianity anymore. I was scared that I was gonna lose my marriage and everything. His father's a pastor or was a pastor, very Christian family, and I just really thought, yeah, I don't know if he's gonna stay married to me or not. I'm not sure. But in 1999, I just got to a point where I was like, I need to know the truth, and I don't care what the truth is, just God give me the truth. And I found 2 books shortly thereafter. This was right at the end of '99. The first one was The Lost Books of the Bible, and the other one was The Book Your Church Doesn't Want You to Read. Excuse me, that's my timing to go work out. The book your church doesn't want you to read. And reading the lost books of the Bible helped me to understand there's multiple versions of the Bible, which I knew that, but I didn't know how many there had been. Multiple versions of the Bible and these books that were lost. Well, yeah, these books that were lost. And for me being raised Catholic, to have books that weren't in the Bible, like the King James version, was normal. But there were books that weren't in the Catholic Bible, and the book your church doesn't want you to read, helped me to see there's something bigger here going on with Christianity, And it wasn't so much that I needed Christianity to be different. I just got freed from feeling like I need to be a part of it, and fear of moving on. So that was 1999. At the top of 2000, I got pregnant with my older son. And I was just sort of in limbo because I'm like, I got a baby in me. And just because I'm feeling moved to do something, I don't know if I really want to be, I don't want to be passing this energy on because what if I'm wrong? Um, so fast forward to 2001, I met my godparents. And so, yeah, that was the beginning of me getting fully on this journey. They, are Babaji Ko Baba Kolioso and Iya Oshinike, both initiated into Ifa, among other traditions. Babaji is now an ancestor, and Iya has continued to work in her own, I guess you could say it's not a temple, it's an organization, I guess you could call a healing organization. And so, you know, they were the first 2 that I ever felt like I feel safe initiating with them because that's something that I think is important. The young priestess that I was working with, she was married at the time to a Babalao, and lovely couple, but they're my age. They're my age group, and I wanted older godparents. That's not to say younger godparents aren't good, but for me at that time, I definitely wanted older godparents. So they were older. I just felt like I could trust them. I liked their teachings. Uh, they were many paths, one truth, and this is a little bit important because it colors my approach, my entrance and my approach to Ifa and the Orisha tradition. But yes, I met my teachers, and yeah, a year later, I got my Ilekes, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next recording because I'm determined to not make these super long. But yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that. So up to this point, though, I will just say, and that was I met them when I was 31. That was the unfolding. You could say there was a need for me to really get to my truth, and it took me just, being a good little Christian girl. I was raised up. Being in the Catholic Church to a certain degree, I do believe was very important because in Catholicism, they have the saints. You get to light candles for the ancestors. They burn incense. I mean, the Catholic Church had a lot of elements that are included in the Ifa-Orisha tradition. So it's kind of good that I was raised up Catholic. But no question about it, I was raised up Christian, very, very Christian, didn't question it even though I knew I was different. And then at some point, it was just about, something is tugging at my soul. And it's something with the ancestors. For me, also something about a divine feminine. Why is God only he and not she? That always did make me kind of like, something's not adding up. Something's not adding up. So, yeah, that's the awakening. So, yeah, I'll start talking about being on the path in the next recording. And if you are interested, make sure that you get on. It'll if at some point it'll go from being the wait list to just being the list to get the updates and to know whatever it is that I am sharing next with you. So I encourage you to be sure to get on my list so that you'll know everything that's happening. And yeah, maybe you're just here to learn. And I love that. And maybe you're here because you seriously are considering stepping fully and consciously onto this beautiful ancient tradition called the Ifa Orisha tradition. Thank you so much for being here, and I will connect with you in the next recording. All right. Peace and love.